honored to be able to give this award to the United Federation of Teachers, or the UFT. It's a labor organization. We're in the Schenker Hall, named after their president, I think in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I first became involved with working with the UFT as a medical advisor in around 1992. And the then president of the UFT was Randi Weingarten. There was a problem with a school in Greenwich Village, and I was asked to go down there, and there was a problem with lead. And it was a school that had a very active parent community. And Randi point blank said to me, if you think the school isn't safe, we'll close the school down. And this was PS3, I don't know if you remember, Phil, but it was there was a lot of press around it. And I said, I don't think it's safe for the kids to go in, so the school was closed. And at that moment, I kind of had a little bit of like, wow, that's pretty easy for me to say something and it gets done. But it was really because the UFT had the power to protect the students and the teachers. And with respect to asbestos, the UFT was in the forefront. There were about 500,000 tests that were done in the aftermath of 9/11 because Stuyvesant High School is right across the West Side Highway at Chambers Street, and it was contaminated as the towers fell. And the other issue was that the pier right next to it, I think it's Pier 26, was the staging area for all the debris. So there was dust and debris. The kids came back after a month, which actually, in hindsight, turned out to be way too soon for the kids who had many of them have gone on to develop cancers as a result. And we know asbestos was in the World Trade Center dust. About 2.4 to 4% of the dust was actually asbestos. But what many of you may not know is the UFT has had a health and safety department that's been very vigorous and has led to many of the, to making the schools safe for the teachers and the kids. In the 90s, there was Operation Clean House, which was, I don't know if anyone here from New York remembers this, it wasn't well publicized, but the UFT forced the New York City school system to follow the AHERA law, which had been passed, and they weren't complying. So over the course of a summer, every single school, and there are about 960 schools, or there were at that time, had to have an asbestos abatement or an AHERA evaluation, which is to make sure that, to catalog where the asbestos might be. And then over time, the abatement was done and they made sure that it was done with appropriate folks. So they've had a very healthy and vigorous health and safety department. We used to do trainings for all of the school safety folks, for all the borough presidents and health and safety reps, which is was pretty amazing what they did. And there were a number of folks, Randi Weingarten, who's now the president of the National Union, the American Federation of Teachers, Ellie Engler, Chris Proctor were two of the early industrial hygienists, and it's now being led by Jennifer Long. And they've all done a phenomenal job in making sure that New York City schools are safe and asbestos-free. So I'm really pleased on their behalf. They couldn't be here, so there's a family emergency to give them the Tribute of Inspiration Award for all they've done to make New York City schools safe, not only from various hazards, but primarily, in terms of this award, their advocacy for making sure the New York City schools are asbestos-free.